And I always use this example. Here in District 16, our current congressman was asked by the current president, what our district needed. And he said sand. Now, sand is great, but sand is certainly not the most important thing.
I finally got my head right. I move in silence, you won't catch me in them headlights. And they love to say they love you if they need some. If they see you moving solid and your bread's right. I finally got my head right. I move in silence, you won't catch me in them headlights. And they love to say they love you if they need some. If they see you moving solid and your bread's right.
Pick up the county, put it down for the town.
Awesome talk. Awesome talk.
Yeah, she's running for Congress in Pennsylvania in the 16th district, like the Northwest Pennsylvania area. And we learned about what Congress people do. I guess find out who is your district. What is your district where you live? Who's your person in Congress for that? And start there. I mean, that's a great place to start.
100%. I didn't know like the power. Well, I knew she obviously had a powerful position, but learning the nuances of her day to day and what she can do to affect change and what she's currently doing to affect change. It was cool to listen. And it's something that I want everybody listening, let's all get behind her. You know what I mean? We all got to latch on to our, our political ballots this upcoming fall and really attack it, because it's up to us. You'll hear her speak on it, but it's really up to us, the 18 to 30, you know what I mean? We have so much power in that age range, and we got to use it. And
100%. So, I mean, go research what district you live in. Just type in the town you live in, Congress district, see who is in that seat. There might be an election that's coming up in November for that seat. That she literally said the guy who's in her district spoke with the federal government about what they need in their district. So, I mean, I'm assuming that probably goes all the way across the board. But yeah, it was a good conversation. I hope you guys really enjoy it.
Hope you guys enjoy.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on and talking to us for a little bit. I know you've been like crazy busy these last couple months.
It's been good though, but yeah, absolutely. I love doing this stuff.
Yeah, cool. I know how I got in contact with you was one of my friends. I don't know if he posted something on Instagram about you. I don't know. He said one of his friends, I think, works in your office, I think. His name's Taylor Mosier.
Oh, Taylor. Okay,
Yeah.
So Taylor Mosier's best friend is my finance director.
Okay, that makes sense. I went to college with Taylor,
Okay.
and he was one of my best friends. So I messaged him. And I was like, hey, who's the lady that you posted about that's running for Congress? And he told me, and so I just messaged you, and here we are. Here we are.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, Taylor's fun too, because I make Taylor come to stuff that we need him to, and I dress him up. I put him with the Kristy Genius. He's Team Kristy, so. I love it,
and it actually works out because my mom, stepdad, and sister live in the district that you're actually running for. So they live in Newcastle. So I saw that you've been doing a lot of speeches and things up there. So kind of worked out exactly.
Yeah. Newcastle's awesome, but yeah, very cool. Glad there's some connections for sure.
Yeah.
So, Kristy, what kind of led you down that direction of wanting to work in the area that you do, the area that you work in?
What you mean, like to run for Congress?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that something you wanted to do, like from
No.
Or no?
I didn't. Yeah, it was certainly. I mean, my dream has always been to be a teacher, and so and that's what I did. I was the first in my family to go to college. My mom was a Navy veteran and is a Navy veteran and a retired postal worker. My sister actually works in manufacturing, and that's kind of what our family did. We always were just like the blue collar. Like we didn't do the college thing, and I was like, I want to go to college. I want to be a teacher. I knew that being a teacher, I wasn't going to be living like this glamorous life, but I loved it. So I did. And so what really led me to where I am at this moment was while I was in college, I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. I was 20 years old. And that was incredibly eye-opening. And I don't even know at the moment that I realized the impact it would have on my life later on. But, I was on my mother's insurance like most people when they're 20. And shortly after I was diagnosed, I a year later, gave birth to my first daughter, Zoe, who's now 15. And I still had cancer, but I was no longer able to be on my mother's insurance because, you know, I was the parent. And of course, I was still in college. And so I didn't have it. And I went without insurance for a little while.
Oh, wow.
And got on Medicaid and luckily was able to beat it. And, you know, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that program and other programs as well. And, you know, teaching, I've been actually teaching for 12 years, and I know that, Nick, you're a teacher.
Yeah.
And I do love it. It's just really been eye-opening as well, because we see all walks of life in and out of our classroom. We see all different types of situations, right? I mean, as teachers, you know, we really see the world coming in and out of our classroom door. And, you know, I think with that combined situation, me being a single parent who struggled with healthcare, and now I still do because I'm someone that's considered a pre-existing condition. I still struggle with, you know, healthcare. And this is just a theme that I think people, you know, everywhere across the nation are dealing with, especially here in Western Pennsylvania. I don't know if you have to do this, but I don't just teach. I generally work at least one other job.
I definitely do.
Right. How do you afford your student loans? If you want to do anything fun, like, I mean, you can't, right? You have to have more than one income, which is just not the true American dream. And I started looking around and thinking, you know, this isn't what I thought being a middle-class citizen was supposed to be like. I thought I was going to have a roof over my head. You know, my family, we're going to be able to go on vacations. I didn't think I was going to have to work multiple jobs. I never thought I would be Ubering, you know.
That's what I do too. I did Lyft, but same concept.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can make some quick money fast with Uber. I did it one summer. Yeah.
I like it too. And honestly, I was thinking, like, if it wasn't for COVID, I actually was considering still Ubering so that I could talk to constituents while I was driving.
That's clever. I feel the same way.
Wow, that's really clever. Yeah.
But it's just not safe now because
it's not
everything going on. So can't do that. But, you know, even though we enjoy those types of things, certainly once you have a family and things like that, it makes it really difficult to do. So I, about a year ago, went to an event somebody encouraged me to go. And basically how most people end up in politics, if you're not in a family from them, is somebody asks you. And somebody's like, I really think you should consider running. And I was like, I don't know. And the former Congresswoman, Kathy Dahlkamper, hosted an event for women talking about getting involved and running. And I was like, all right, I'll go. I went completely by myself. I was incredibly nervous. And after that event and hearing all these other stories, I was like, I think this is something I need to do. So ever since that day, I just kind of had it in my mind that I wanted to do it. And some tough conversations with my family, with some other local leaders, figuring out how it would look for my life. And we just decided it was the right thing to do. I mean, our current representative here doesn't represent us. He's nothing like us, right? He's a millionaire car dealer owner. Nothing like the working class person in Western Pennsylvania. He does not understand our struggles, and he certainly doesn't vote in the way that is best for us. So here I am.
That's so interesting that you know, you from our perspective, you know, being in that young generation that's within the last couple months, we're just now starting to really pay attention. You know, like I know Terry and I talked about, especially like not even so much local, but national level. I mean, obviously you can't miss it now, but when we were in middle school or early high school was right when President Obama got elected. And so we didn't pay attention at all until 2016, right about when we were graduating college and finishing up there. So it's interesting to see how you went from, oh, I'm going to teach, I'm going to do this, couple of experiences later, and now here you are. Are you talked about the healthcare thing. Is that kind of something that, I don't want to say like the base of your campaign, but is that something that is very important to you and to kind of push down the pipeline moving forward? Well,
yeah, I absolutely think that healthcare is probably the top of most people's concern. I mean, you can't be successful without it. There have been times in my career, even as a teacher, I thought, oh, how cool would it be to, you know, still stay in education, but maybe start my own business or a tutoring business or this or that or things. You can't do that. You can't be an entrepreneur because of fear of losing your benefits. And that's just like a totally very small example of the big picture. I mean, our health insurance really stifles the creativity here in America because it is tied to our employer. And here we are in the middle of a pandemic when hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people are losing their health insurance because they're losing their jobs. And that's totally unacceptable. I mean, we can't survive. We can't have a strong economy, which everyone leans on, especially during election year, and looks at how can we have a strong economy if we do not have health care? So I certainly think it's definitely at the very top, that education. And I think those two things really tie into the economy.
And that's something that we talk about a lot on the podcast. Education, for one, that's something that's key. And with education, I know Nick had briefly touched on something that a lot of people, of my friends that I know, people my age that I know, were now starting to really want to dive into politics, if so will. And we want to learn, and we kind of want to just kind of right the wrongs that he spoke about, not really involving ourselves or teaching ourselves throughout 2012 to 2016 until now. So for the viewers listening in, I know a lot of my friends, they probably don't know what a congresswoman does. So what's maybe a brief kind of, not a day-to-day, but something that, if I'm new to wanting to learn in congresswoman, what can I expect my local congresswoman to do in where I'm from?
Yeah, and a U.S. representative in Congress, the title is really everything. Representative. It's somebody that's supposed to go and represent that district. Most districts are made up of close to 700,000 people. That's actually how they end up dividing them by population. And that's, part of the reason sometimes they change, and sometimes they just change due to census, which we'll see a change here coming up after this next census as well, because of population.
Yeah.
But who draws the lines also changes because of who's in power. So that's also why elections are very important, but that's a whole nother topic. So what I would do, I would basically represent. I would, in my community, make sure that you're supposed to have consistent town halls, talk to your constituents, find out what's important to them, and you take that information and you bring it back to DC, and you use that information to vote for policies that are best for your constituents. You also use that information to advocate for your constituents. If there's something that your district needs, you are a power broker and you're able to do that. You have that ability to do that. And I always use this example. Here in District 16, our current congressman was asked by the current president, what our district needed. And he said sand. Now, sand is great, but sand is certainly not the most important thing. And as a representative, as our power broker, we should be bringing infrastructure. We should be bringing resources for education, jobs, the economy. There's so many amazing things that a good representative should be advocating for and bringing into your district. That's why having somebody who represents somebody selflessly and truly represents the people is incredibly important. I think that's a good starting point when somebody asks, what does a representative do? They represent you. They advocate for you. They make sure that policies are voted on in your favor, and bring back resources to your district.
Viewers listening in, I hope you write that down, rewind it, pause, whatever you got to do, pause, rewind, write down her name, and we're going to make sure we get that information out. That's awesome. Though. That's a really, really important role. Very important role. I don't know, sand is definitely not, the number one thing I think we could really use. But it's very good. I do enjoy sand.
Yeah, right. That's so interesting. I mean, I know this is kind of getting in depth a little bit, but when you're in a Congress meeting, when you get elected and you're in Congress meeting in DC, how does that those policies that get voted on, how does that I don't want to say transpire, but how, if you're voting for, let's say, healthcare or something, we've seen it so much where everything is right now is so, bipartisan. It's so divided. How do you kind of work with people that have, where they say, District 16, we do need a lot of sand, actually, instead of, how do you kind of work around that? How do you kind of maneuver that politics almost, you know what I mean? I mean, we've seen it on the news and it's frustrating for us to watch. And I'm just kind of curious about how you're planning to kind of work through that.
Well, I think we have a superpower because we're teachers, right? So
Yeah.
we're constantly negotiating with
You have to.
all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that certainly has prepared me a bit for this role. I mean, I've about 25 to 30 kids in my class. Multiple. I actually teach high school, so I do that 3 times a day, 4 times depending on the schedule. And we're consistently negotiating with people. I think it's really important not to argue with people. I think it's incredibly important to state why you feel that way. And I think there are so many policies that both sides can get behind. And I think one of those is healthcare. It doesn't matter, your party, your race, your religion. We all need healthcare, and we should all be able to get behind that. Right. And so there's certain ways that we can talk with each other about how are we going to do that? How are we going to figure out a solution that works for us? And I think, I don't know if you can see it, my poster back here, I really lean on the word unity, because I think that's something that we have really lost right now. And I think you touched on that. I mean, we are so partisan, and we're the United States of America. And if we had leadership that came out when COVID happened and said, all right, we're Americans, we're going to kick this virus's ass, we're going to mask up, we're going to do this, and this is a war, we would have
all followed in line and said, hell yeah.
Exactly. We would have kicked this virus's ass. And just like most Americans do, we care about our country, and we would have done it. But that wasn't what happened. It ended up becoming this politicized partisan war. And I think that's what we have to start healing, because we all want the economy to be strong. We all want to be healthy. We all want to have the opportunity to succeed. And I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, independent, anything in between that. We all want those things. And it starts with cordial conversations. And when they can't be cordial, that's when you have to learn how to walk away.
Yeah.
I give you credit for that. Just like I can speak on myself. I just know I've gotten into those discussions multiple times with people who you clearly don't agree with. And dubbing it down to my level, I'm a personal trainer, so those conversations, they happen in gyms sometimes, but with you and your job and your field, you might eyes are on you a lot more so than I am. So for you keeping that composure and keeping that frame of mind to know and understand that we're looking for solutions and cordial conversations. So like anything under that, it's not gonna accomplish what you need at the end of the day. So I give you credit just for having that, that frame of mind every day, because you have to.
I mean, as a trainer and as a teacher, I mean, you have students, you have clients, and those people are looking to you. You're their role model, really, even if it's just for that 30 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever the length is. I mean, you're the person that, kind of controls the narrative, and you're much more powerful probably when you're not arguing with them about it. And I don't know, maybe not personal trainers. Maybe you do need to argue with them a little bit.
You never know.
Yeah.
Well, kind of speaking on that, politicized, how have you kind of I've been going crazy about the whole debate on the opening schools and everything. How have you kind of, why has it become so politicized? I mean, I know it's because at the top it's been saying they need to reopen, but I mean, just how do you feel about that? I mean, how do we navigate this?
The worst part is, and this again, leans on the failure of our federal administration. We really are looking to them to give us some solid guidelines, and they've abandoned this. They've abandoned the virus, and they've, really just said, and left it up to the states and left it up to the local districts. And in some ways that can be good, but without any type of guidance, it's kind of hectic and chaotic. So, I feel multiple ways about it, just like any other, teacher or parent. I want my kids to be in school because we know how powerful instruction can be when it's face-to-face, right? I mean, I don't know what it was like for you, but online learning was certainly not as successful for a handful of students.
No.
Many reasons, right? We can't control their home life. We can't control what they do. We can't say, hey, look up here.
Yeah.
It doesn't
happen. No.
Right. It doesn't work the same. So there has to be, we have to start looking at how can we still keep instruction going, but keep people safe. Because at the end of the day, if people aren't healthy and safe, what does it matter? So, I mean, health and safety have to be first. And I'm not a fan of just full, blown opening up schools. I do not. We all know, right? Gyms, schools. I mean, everyone's touching stuff.
In like flu season, it runs through a school. I mean, just a normal flu season,
It's just touch. They don't know. Cafeterias,
It's just not happening. And I just had a meeting with my department not too long ago, and we were talking about how kids all we have some guidelines from the CDC. Kids all have to face the same way. My tables are round, so that's
so are mine. That's already my -1 right there. Yeah.
Right. No, they can't eat looking at each other. Like, come on, these are kids. There's so many things that just are not going to work. I have some immense concerns, and my fears are if we keep trying to make it work, we're going to end up in the same situation we were before, which is pulling all the kids out and not being prepared for a completely online learning system. And so I like to err on the side of caution. I think we should be preparing for complete online learning. And depending on, the area that you're in, I mean, I'm sure there are some very, very rural areas that could do in-person instruction. Here in Erie, we are doing kind of like a hybrid where the parents can choose. But then there's issues with that too, because we're requiring masks. And we have some parents that refuse to make their kids wear them. And
that's a whole nother topic too right now. Like
right.
The whole,
I drove down the street in Vegas the other day, and there was an anti-mask rally, probably 30 people just woo, had the flags. They were just going crazy. And I'm just like, you're really that bored? You have nothing else? Like, that's what you're
job,
doing?
Nothing going on today, nothing.
That's bizarre to me. Exactly. And that goes back to the administration failing to lead us in a way to say, we're Americans, we're going to combat this virus. This is a war. We got this. Everyone do their part. Let's mask up. Everyone would be like, hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it just never happened.
It would be that simple. I think
we're not. Yeah. It's so, kind of go back to the school thing. I think it's a mess. We're not prepared. I have concerns. I would err, again, on the side of caution. As much as I want my kids in school, especially my oldest, who really, really need that structure. Every kid is different. My youngest thrives online, but my oldest really needs that, look over here. This is what we're doing. And she knows that. And so, there's a lot of other components too. The meals that they provide at school, the social services, the counseling. There's a lot of things that these kids are losing. And I think there's some concern there, and that's why we really need to start planning on what that will look like if we are online completely.
Just the planning, just being organized and ready. That's huge.
That's July. We better hustle.
Yeah. So, this has been a great conversation, by the way. It's been really cool getting to know you. Something that Nick and I always speak on with the podcast is our hope for the future, and kind of what our main goal with this podcast, the HeadRight Podcast. We're gathering different perspectives so we can head into the right direction regarding race relations, regarding social injustice, regarding just human rights and civil rights that we all should have as Americans. What's kind of your hope for the future and with the state that we're in now? And it kind of seems like just a big divide, like how we talked about with unity in the background. We need to be together with everything. So we're trying to just have these conversations and open the mind for people and try to I know there's been moves already made from people listening to the podcast. I know teachers are talking about placing African-American studies course within their classrooms. What's something that maybe you hope for the future, or something that you're doing currently, if you are, to kind of just promote just unity,
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question, because I think that's a huge issue right now. We've seen a lot of things happening just in the past few months, highlighting the injustices in race, the division even further, not just political party, but, the color of our skin. And those issues have always been there. And I think we have an obligation to start really recognizing that and teaching tolerance. And I think that starts young. And so if I were to hurry up and put this in a nutshell, the thing is, it has to start young, meaning we have to start incorporating tolerance in our schools and teaching them the true history. It means changing our textbooks. It means incorporating people from the BIPOC community into the literature that we use. It means diversifying our staff. It means helping diversify our staff by helping those different communities go to college, and getting rid of the barriers there. And then the easiest solution right at this moment that we can do right now is registering to vote and voting. And, enough with thoughts and prayers are great, but we need policy and
you need
change.
to get out and do it. Yeah.
You got to get to the root. You got to attack the root, like you said.
We have to do it. We can do all of those things I'm talking about individually, but we can do it also with policy, and we can do it with good leadership. And we need to do that by voting. And the young Americans now, that the people that are turning 18, 19, 20, 21, the people 30 and under have so much power. They have no idea. If they were just to get out and vote, they could change the elections. They could change the way the future looks, and they should, because it's their future. When I talk about like what I'm doing, a lot of this stuff, change takes time. A lot of the things that I'm doing, that most people that vote are people that are above the age of 55. It doesn't even affect them. It affects us.
Yeah.
And it affects our kids, and our students. And so it's our duty to make sure that we educate our youth and we get them motivated to get off the sidelines, register, and make sure they're voting.
Viewers, rewind that again. Click play, save this.
Exactly.
Listen to it again. She is speaking the truth. She is speaking the truth to you guys.
This is our lives, and we're seeing how much politics play a daily role in our lives right now. And so just get involved, learn about the people that are running. I would be honored to have the constituents of District 16 in Pennsylvania vote for me. I think that I would be a selfless leader, somebody who would show up for them, somebody who's going to be transparent and wants the best for this district. Because when I'm fighting for District 16, I'm also fighting for my family. And we have to start looking at it like that. And when they say vote like your life depends on it, it's because it does. And we need to do that. So I just want to thank you again for having me. This was a pleasure. This was a lot of fun. And I love talking about this kind of stuff. My family's getting sick of it. So it's good to find out to talk to some other people about politics. So I appreciate it very, very much. This is fantastic.
We appreciate you hopping on with us this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
you,
Kristy.
Ben.
We'll talk to you soon. Good luck. Bye-bye.
I finally got my head right. I move in silence, you won't catch me in them headlights. And they love to say they love you if they need some. If they see you moving solid and your bread's right.
Pick up the county, put it down for the town. Everyone